Okay, a little bit different video today from your normal instructional video. This is more of a Q&A session, and the reason I'm doing a Q&A session is because I'm too lazy to write everybody back. So I basically compiled the majority of the questions I have into a single list, and I'm going to go over it with you as far as answering your questions. And you know, obviously I don't mind answering your questions, and I'm here to try to help you. And so let's get to the list right now. Okay, where did I put my list? Alright, here we go. First question: how much knee bend should I do in my ichikimima? My legs are very sore and are pinched in more than how you do it in your video. So basically the question is, if you look at the overall ichikimima stance, many people have different variations from it. They have some people who are wide, some people who stand a little bit on the natural side, shoulder width apart, some people who pinched in significantly and pigeon toe. And assuming from the question that I got, you might be part of that group as far as, what did you ask again? My knees, or you might be bending so much like this. The general rule of thumb when you bend in for the ichikimima, and the overall rule of thumb is you want to keep the stance as natural as possible, okay? And when you're talking about bending, a lot of the times people overbend the stance. If anything, there's two ways that they basically can bend. They either bend the knees in beyond the toes. See how I go beyond the nose, beyond the toes, and you feel a lot of pressure here. Or they try to bend it inward and squeeze it in, and you feel a lot of pressure inside the thigh area. You can do it that way. I mean, you know, you can do stance any way you want. But just the way to think of it, or the way to look at the stance overall, is just think alignment. Just think alignment. You're trying to align all the joints or the body parts together so that you can hold your stance vertically. Okay? So that means anytime that you're using any form of muscle where you're pinching it in, forcing it down, or any point in the body, to me, that stance is off. You should be able to stay in the stance, body relax, and just make sure once everything's in line, it stays in place. And if you're feeling that much pressure in the knees, as far as bending down too much or squeezing in too much, well, to me, you're using muscle, and you know, development-wise in Wing Chun, you're not here to make more muscle, okay? All right, hopefully that answered that question. Question number two. I just started Wing Chun. I had trouble doing the ichikimima stance at the beginning, but I think my muscles have developed. But, well, this is actually related to the first question too. A lot of times I've gotten questions asking, how do I make my stance stronger? Isn't it good that I stand in stance and I feel the soreness? And am I developing muscle? And just to go back to that, like I said before, you are not developing muscle. The whole point of, to me, in Wing Chun is, you know, obviously, why are you trying to develop muscle? You're trying to have awareness of alignment, of how to hold a stance. If you're trying to develop muscle, what's the point of doing this? If you think squeezing the legs in is going to develop muscle, why don't you just do some form of thrust, go lift weights or something like that? Okay? If you're feeling that kind of muscle, you know the stance is basically off. Okay? Alright, number three. In your videos you seem to be standing straight, but I see a lot of Wing Chun practitioners lean back. Which one is right? Alright, I know what you're talking about. You see a lot of Wing Chun practitioners, even pictures of people leaning hip back and then leaning back like this, right, in a relaxed state, and trying to hold a stance. Let's just use common sense overall. If what we're doing in Wing Chun is to be as natural as possible, or to feel a natural hold in your technique, okay? Just, if you stand normal, okay? Even if you stand normal, you want to stand, how do you feel? Straight up, vertical. You want to hold that position vertical, okay? And a lot of times people misunderstand the purpose of the stance. The stance purpose is not to root you in that point. That means I don't want to hold the stance and then say, oh, I'm going to stay here no matter what, you can't move me, okay? If that's the case, you move two things. If you do it this way, let's say you're leaning back like this and you're trying to hold the stance and you exaggerate it to that extent, how can you move? All right, there's no debate. If you want to debate about it, try to move. See if you can move faster than me if I'm in the vertical position and if you're leaning back like this. 2, how is that structure without using muscle? If you're leaning back like this, you have to use muscle. You have to. I get it. I've done it before when I was first really taught, where you have a little lean back like this and then you push against the hips and you hold it. Well, guess what? In order to hold it like that, you have to use muscle. But if you learn how to hold the stance vertical, okay, in this position vertical, and put the weight in between from the center of the heel to the ball of the foot, then guess what? Not only can I control the force because of the vertical position and not use muscle with it, but I'm also mobile and I can move any way I want, okay? So, like I said, you know, everyone wants to say it's common sense, but, you know, common sense. Question number 4. Why don't you emphasize the wrist when you punch? Okay, emphasize the wrist in the punch. In other words, a lot of times you see, I'm assuming you're talking about this, where you snap the wrist, or you do a 1-inch punch, snap the wrist, you know, develop the motion to snap the wrist. Once again, think for a second how we want to approach this. How do you want to hit your opponent or your target at that point? If I snap the wrist and I hit it like this, boom, like that, I try to snap it to put the impact on there. How solid the structure is this? And am I putting more tension on one side compared to the other? All right. In other words, if I hit a target, boom, yeah, you can hit the target, but you can also hurt your wrist. All right. When the wrist already has the natural snap in it. If you punch and then you turn, it already has a snap in it, but you snap it to align the wrist. So when you align it, the fist hits in a solid target, all at one point. Okay? Just say, as I've done in demonstration before, if you put your fist to the ground, right? You put your fist to the ground. Do it like you're gonna snap. Let's say you do it like you're gonna snap. See if you can do a push-up like this, where you snap your hand like that, and you can't. You won't. You'll hurt your wrist. All right? But if I go like this naturally and I punch, and my fist fully makes contact upon touch, what happens? I can support the whole body because there's strength in the structure of that. So once again, just look at it. You know, any concept can be justified. You can find a reason. Well, you do this because it generates this kind of power and you get the snap point. But if you look at the overall picture of what really makes sense, I think in the end you'll be able to figure it out. Hopefully. Okay. Question number 5. My shoulder feels very tired after punching for a while. Is that wrong? Yes. Wing Chun is not a calorie burner. It really isn't. You're really trying not to work on how much muscle does it require to do a punch. And that's a good test. A good drill is to do punches. Let's say you're doing punches. 1, 2, 3, 4, up to like 100. Usually by 100, you can feel it. If you're doing 100 punches and within 20 to 25 with going regular speed, you start feeling a burn in it, the punch is off. Now, why is it off? More than likely, like most people, you're raising the shoulder up. See how my shoulder raises up? Right? See, I raise up with that. But what you want to look at is, look at my shoulder motion from here. I'll exaggerate a little bit. From this motion, look what happens. Look at my shoulder. It relaxes. It relaxes in. I'm looking for the support of the base of the stance to connect to my body in order to push the punch out. Once my shoulder rises with it, this technique, this punch, is no longer connected to my body. In order to hold it at this point, I have to use muscle. So what you're feeling is the muscle being used at that position of the punch. Okay? Hopefully that helps. In your punch mechanics, I notice you don't pinch the elbow in like other lines. Why? Okay, the question is, usually you see a lot of punches in Wing Chun where you want to force the elbow in because you want to say, well, the elbow has to support the fist, so you want to force it in and then push it off. Okay, think of it, if I want to hit in a triangle position, I'm looking for the alignment overall from the shoulder to the elbow to the wrist, okay? So if I look at it this way, let's say I put my fist here and I force it in this motion here. Oh God, that kills. If I force it in this way, how exactly is this aligned here from here to this point without using any form of muscle? Because if I punch it this way, for that split second when I'm doing it that motion, this side of the triangle is exposed. Because look, I force this way all the way in and then I try to punch. If I hold my fist in the center, just naturally have my elbow relax, And then look how my elbow just naturally moves into connect. I'm looking for the alignment for all three to connect. I'm not looking for this to be saying, this has to be back here in order to support the fist. This just simply has to align with the shoulder to the elbow to the wrist. And I look for the alignment naturally. See, it just naturally moves in. I don't have to pinch it in and then do the punch. Okay? See how it naturally comes in like that? I don't have to force it in like this and put extra work in. Think alignment, don't think literally, oh, you have to support the fist that way. Okay? Hopefully that answers your question. Can you talk a bit about the structure of the stance? Yeah, talk a bit about the structure. Okay, maybe since that could be a topic I could talk about for the next month straight, let's just talk about the overall feel. When you hold the stance in place, okay, let's say you open up your Ichikima, you feel good right now. What is the natural reaction you want from the stance, okay? If you feel any kind of force, whether you're in guard hand, double sticky hand, or whatever, when you feel the force, if you feel the first thing you feel is lean back or push back like that, you know your stance is off. The natural stance reaction, if properly done, is almost like a compression. In other words, when the force comes in, it comes into my stance. It comes into my stance directly to the ground right away. And then when it leaves, I naturally spring back from it. So in other words, if you can see this motion, I push, boom, let go, boom, natural. But you don't see myself where if I feel the force, I adjust myself to hold that position. If you feel it in that sense, then you don't have the natural alignment in place. You want the stance to function naturally, where you don't have to plan it. If you don't have it where it naturally reacts, then you don't have the alignment properly in place. Okay? All right. I know that's a deeper subject, but let's not make this a 10-hour tape. Why are the toes pointed inward and pigeon-toed in? Okay, so when you do your stance, notice I don't pigeon-toe it in this way. Okay? Why do we have it when we do open up the stance, boom, boom, you have a slight angle to it, and that's it, just a slight. Some people can be almost like this, and after a while, once you develop it, you can be like this. It doesn't really matter. But the pigeon toe in the beginning, when you have that, is to make sure that the focus is down the middle. Okay, feel it. If right now, if you're brand new and you open Yichikimba, you'll feel like, okay, I have my Yichikimba, my toes aren't pigeon toed. So your toes aren't pigeon toed. So the sensation you're kind of feeling is like if you were to ride a horse, guess what? You're fully on the horse, sitting on the horse on the saddle. Okay, and that's not the feeling you want. The pigeon toe in feeling and sensation is the focus back into the middle. So instead of like a regular dude who's riding a horse and on a saddle, you're more like a jockey. You know how a jockey's like this, boom, riding on the horse like this. See how the knees can function as a shock absorber. And that's basically why you have the pigeon toe in, that focus inward. Don't exaggerate it this way, okay? Don't exaggerate it this way. It's natural once again. If I want pigeon toe, look, just a little. See how little it is? You can barely even see it. Right? I just want the natural feel of it, to feel that focus in the middle. And that's what you're looking for early on in development. How far apart should the stance be in Yichikima? Okay, this is number 9 question. Just natural, it really is. When you open up like this and then come here, you usually end up generally shoulder width apart. And why do we want to be shoulder width apart? And that's general guideline. If you're taller, it can be wider, or just a pinch wider. But you want to be able to move, right? Bottom line, you want structure, but the ability to move. If you end up going like this far out, like let's say I have a solid stance here, you can't move, all right? You're going to be caught flat-footed, all right? So in the end, you're looking for a natural position. I'm standing here. This is how I naturally am. I want to be in my stance. There you go. There's your Ichikima. All right, final question. This is a little off subject, but I have to answer this too. Unlike other videos on YouTube, I don't see you selling DVDs or have any donation area. Do you plan on having this? First of all, as far as selling DVDs, right now there's no plans to. I know a lot of people enjoy the videos. I really have no plans in the future to do that. I am working on a book. But this book I'm working on Wing Chun, is something right now I have no plans on releasing it to the public. Sorry, it's just how I roll. It's just more of a case of, keeping all the information as far as jotting it down for myself. But I am working on a pretty extensive book on Chun. As far as donation, you know what, the donation-wise, save your donations. Go find a teacher. Go find someone who can help you understand the art, or save up and go find someone who can help you learn the art. Really, that's the best way. I mean, I know my videos can help out. I'm not your teacher. I'm here to give you ideas to look at things differently. In the end, as much as I tell you, I can give you all the details on a particular concept over and over again, and you still won't get it by video. You really won't. You'll get it only by feel. And even if I was like the best scholar around as far as description and telling you how this should feel, you won't know. You won't know the feel of things until you actually have someone put you in place. As good as I could describe it, it's just not. I can tell you this is relaxed. You just won't know what relax is until someone puts you in place. You just won't know what forward energy is when you put you in place. You won't understand really the full concept of the Ichikima and function until you feel it for yourself. And you know, and that's it. I'm just giving you an opportunity to understand that Wing Chun can go so much deeper than what you see. You really can. And just want to give everyone the opportunity to understand that. All right, that's Q&A. I know there's not as much action, but you know, knowledge is good. Okay, knowledge is good. Hopefully this helps. All right.